All right, so how do you see the market here? Been a while since we've spoken to you. We've had this incredible move. You know, you got the Buffett commentary over the weekend. You've had our investment committee weigh in on that and other things that they see. How about yourself?
Well, look, I think, when the after the lockdown and we saw the dramatic drop-off in activity, consumer and otherwise, and markets hit lows, we had this massive stimulus come in the form of both monetary and fiscal. In a lot of the investors' minds, that truncated the left tail, right, reduced that risk, and it allowed for what we called the big exhale. And so there was a lot of liquidity in the markets. It moved into the equity market in the U.S., and we had a dramatic run since then, and now we're not that far from, all-time highs again. I think where we are now with the reopening phase upon us, I think there's actually I think we'll see more volatility, and I also believe what we're going to see is the need to validate the move. So what does that mean? What that means is, will the reopening look the way people had anticipated it would look? We shifted from that L-shaped fear of an L-shaped recovery to a U-shape. But what that means is we've got to see by the fourth quarter, according to most estimates, fourth quarter GDP really starting to snap back, 20% or more, to validate forget 2020 earnings per share, to validate 2021, which is where I think what's driving a lot of the market expectations right now.
I wonder if the market is where it should be, if it's overly optimistic. You have people like Dr. Scott Gottlieb writing things about the cruel, these are his words, cruel new normal of the virus, where we've hit this plateau, but we haven't gone down, and we're staying at this level, and there is an expectation about reopening and what the country's going to look like. Is that too optimistic?
Well, look, what we've got to recognize is we're in the middle of an unprecedented national experiment that none of us have ever seen before. I think what we have on our side, if you step back and remind ourselves that the genesis of this whole thing was a healthcare crisis that created a human crisis, which necessitated the lockdown. When I think about the great research minds in the U.S., the great pharma and biotech companies, do I think we'll ultimately win this war against COVID-19? I do. What I don't know, though, Scott, and none of us really knows, is what is the timeline for that to happen? And that's where I think risk could come in because, again, people are expecting second quarter, down big, got it. Third quarter, still negative, got it. Fourth quarter, will we see 20% or more? That is our forecast at Bank of America, but that's what needs to be validated. If that doesn't happen, then we will demonstrate there was too much optimism and markets moved too far too fast. Okay,
so let me ask you this way then, as our last question, building on what you just said, right? So we know, second quarter would be bad. Next quarter, what you said. How much time does the Fed move by us, Keith? How much time can we wait to find the answer to your question, given what the Fed did?
Well, I think what we've got to start to see it, soon. And again, by soon I mean by the fourth quarter. Everything is hitting at once, Scott. The monetary stimulus, the fiscal stimulus, it's just incredible firepower that's being brought to bear. I think as we reopen the states, each person individually will have to figure out when they're comfortable doing whatever it is they used to do, and at what pace does that happen. But I think if we don't see in the fourth quarter, again, the signs of life and the signs of economic activity and consumer spending that leads to that kind of quarter-over-quarter annualized growth in GDP, then I think you got to call into question the 2021 numbers. We're using 155 in 2021 versus 115 this year, and then I think you could see some downside. But over time, I think we will win this war against this virus. I do think people will ultimately go back largely to what they did. It won't be exactly the same. And as Warren Buffett said, it's hard to bet against America. So I think it's just a question of timing more than, can we get there?
We're going to leave on that uplifting note. Keith, it's good to talk to you. Be well. We'll talk to you again soon.